Hey friends, Sara Gaston here. Listen, today I want to talk to you about the importance of making a good, strong choice in your scene work. I often see that actors do one of two things. They either make no choice because, or a really vanilla choice because they're worried that they'll get it wrong, or they do the opposite where they make a really strong choice, but it is so out of touch with the direction that's actually been given that they miss the mark by a mile. Okay, so let's address the first one. So your job as an actor is to bring this character to life, right? And the casting director, the writer, your agent will give you as much information as they can in order to help you sort of do your detective work to figure out your take on the character, okay? But at the end of the day, you still have to make a choice. And what people tend to do is they make a really vanilla choice, or they just don't want to commit because they don't want to get it wrong. And here's the thing. A director, a casting director, they just want to see that you've made a choice, that you've made a decision, so that we know that you can make a choice, you can make a decision. If you don't have a take on your character, then you're really not bringing anything to the game. And I feel like what we tend to do is we want to get it right. So we second guess ourselves to death, and then we just don't do anything much at all. And what that's going to entail, of course, as always, if you've worked with me, if you've watched some of these videos, you know that I'm going to say you've got to answer your essential questions, right? So you have to know who you are, where you are, who you're talking to, what's the relationship, what do I want from the other person, moment before, moment after, all those things. So that information isn't always spelled out in the script, okay? It's not like a novel, okay, where they'll sit there and go, he was born on January 15th in a time of war, blah, blah, blah. It's implied, certain things are implied, so you might get that this person is a nurse, and you might get that this person doesn't really like her job, okay? That may be all you get, okay? And it may not even say that much. It just may be that, she is losing her temper, and so she says this to this patient. But that doesn't really tell you anything other than there's a nurse and they lost their temper in this situation, right? So you kind of have to reverse engineer and think, okay, well, what kind of person chooses to be a nurse? Is it somebody who wants to have security? Is it somebody who really is devoted to helping people? Is it something that just people in her family always wanted to do, always did? She comes from a medical professional family. You also have to sit there and think, well, why is she losing her temper? Does she have a bad temper? Is she just always like this? Or is something going on in her life that she's, having a bad day? But make a decision, and make a decision that is consistent with the text that you've been given. I took a class through an exercise, this was several years back, and it was about envisioning a garden. And part of what I was trying to do is to help people really work on developing their imaginations. A lot of people don't use their imaginations, and it's like the key tool that we need as actors. And so I talked people through this really pretty lengthy exercise, and then at the end I asked everybody to describe their garden. And one guy started to talk about a racetrack and the feel of the leather seats and the smell of the tires and what it was like to stop in the pit. And I just thought, it was so off base. It was so clear he wasn't listening. He just missed it. He just completely missed it. And that's what tends to happen, is we either get it in our minds that we have to get it right, so we just don't make a choice, or we're so committed to, showing that I'm different than everyone else that we will just miss the mark. There's a happy medium in there somewhere, folks, right? So we have to kind of figure that out. Like, okay, how can I authentically tell a story about a person who is in these circumstances so that I don't look like, the other 500 people who are auditioning for this role, and we also don't want to miss the mark so much that it looks like we didn't even read the breakdown, because I've seen that happen before when I've worked with people one-on-one. Anyway, I hope this was helpful to you. So if you take two things away, if you only take two things away, make a choice and make sure that it's supported by the text and the breakdown you've been given. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you like this, please like and subscribe and share with a friend. And if you really want all the goodies, then please sign up for my email list, because there's things that I share on email that I don't share anywhere else. And you can do that by going to my website, saragaston.com. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. And as always, break a leg out there. It was a little rambly, but that happens sometimes when I'm explaining stuff.